All right, hello everybody. Yeah, so we got two people in here, so that's good to see. Gonna wait just a few minutes to give people a chance to come in, and I hope everybody's doing all right here. Um, it's the middle of the week, hump day, so um, hopefully we'll see some people come over from RJ stream soon enough. They just went off, I guess. Hmm. Let me see. I'm just waiting to see if we get a few more people in here before I get started here. Uh, La-dee-dee-da-dee-da, la-dee-dee-da-dee-da. Oh, look like we got the other person back. Hello again. Um, yeah, so hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're having a good night. Whoever happens to be here with me here. Um, we'll have, for me, I pretty much I did spent the day, did some recycling, some money for that, then went up to then watched my animes this afternoon, then was just watching RJ stream, and now getting ready to do this. So we're just waiting for before I get started on the news topic and stuff. I'm just waiting to see if we can get a few more people in here. Um, I'll be starting probably about the latest by about the 10-minute mark. So, and as I said, I hope you had a good day today. Um, if you're choosing to um, just lurk, that's fine. Um, as I said, get to in the. Oh, there we go. Hey, shh, just relax. It's action time. Ah, there you go. Hey, action. Hey, ATC. Action Toys channel. Yeah, I'm just again just trying to get at least some conversation going while waiting to see if more people show up before I get started on the news item. How was your day today? Hopefully it went well. As always, of course, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, that'd be appreciated. But I'm pretty sure you did already. Um, Action. So, um, anyways, okay. Let me see. La dee dee da dee da, la dee dee da dee da, la dee dee da dee da, la dee dee da dee da. Oh yeah, hey, action. How's Lazarus doing? Is he able to walk yet, get around yet, or is his leg still healing up? No, it's been a while since we asked about that or talked about that. Boys walking. Okay, well that's good. Good. He's finally walking and getting moving around a bit. That should help the healing process a bit too. Building those muscles back up. How about with a limp? Yeah, understandable. We have a third person in here. Hello, third person. How you doing? Hopefully all is well with you. Um, and I guess now that we have three people in here, try to keep everybody interested. Oh, Crumbian, Mike. Hey, Crumb, Chris, how you doing? Glad you're here. Um, like the man. Glad you're here. Thank you for dropping in. Um, well, now that we got at least three people in here, I guess I can kind of get started a bit. So here's what's on tap for tonight. We got 7 stories to go over. Um, and as always, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendlier people in here. That'd be hey, I'm usually working when you're on live. Well, I'm glad you're here now, Crumb. I'm glad you're here now. um, yeah. So, anyways, we got 3 people here. I want to make sure I keep you guys here. So, I guess I best get to the stories a bit. So, I got 7 stories tonight. 3 comics related and 4 anime related. 2 of the stories are from Bounding into Comics. The other 5 are from CBR. Um, and con that let's see. So among the stories we have tonight include um, so apparently Kelly Sue DeConnick, the lady who famously said, "If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book." She and Phil Jimenez have decided to retcon Wonder Woman. Um, and I think the quote from the article was "queer her past." Um, let's see. Also, also Eric July, better known to most fans as Young Ripa, has some interesting things to say about Marvel and DC in regards to them being um, tools for the authoritarian left. We also have a follow up to the George Perez story, where we're going to talk a little bit about people starting to show him some support after his cancer diagnosis the other day. On the anime side of things, Beastars made an announcement in regards to their final season, 404. Crumb broke a couple. They stopped computing. Let's see. Let's see. So, what else do we have? We also have let's see, Studio Pronco, Pronoc, also has an announcement in regards to a movie that they're coming out with. We got a profile piece on Wit Studios, and also Toei's apparently got upset with a YouTuber and has apparently been using copyright strikes to take down some of his review videos on some of their stuff. So that those are the 7 stories we're going to be getting into tonight. So why don't we go ahead and get underway with all that. Here we go. All right, so here we go. Here's the first story. Kelly Sue DeConnick and Phil Jimenez rewrite and queer the past in Wonder Woman Historia, The Amazons. Article by J.B. Augustine published earlier today. So here we go. In a new interview, writer Kelly Sue DeConnick and writer-artist Phil Jimenez say quite clearly their goal with the graphic novel Wonder Woman Historia the Amazons is to smash the old patriarchy and reflect a greater sense of queerness. So again, you see kind of the agenda pushing here. Remember, everybody, this is the same lady who said, "If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book." Well, if you're putting your ideology, you know, forthright in your story, there, chances are you're liable to alienate about half your audience. Is from Source Wonder Woman Historia, the Amazons #1 by Kelly Sue DeConnick. And now, granted, doesn't mean that people. I mean, we've heard a lot of people talk about how um, people aren't, at least if you're going to add new characters or make new characters, you know, nobody has a problem with that in terms of bringing them in as LGBTQ. But if you're if you're using established characters to push an agenda, then that's the issue I think a lot of people have. Let's see. I was waiting for the gif of the fat kid playing "Don't Worry, I'm from the Internet." Oh my. Oh yeah. So anyways, discussing Historia Book 1 for DC's blog, DeConnick talks about how tired of women being put on a pedestal in a certain way by male writers over the years. She wants to revise Amazonian history to fit her impression of the now. What a lot of people don't remember, may not know or remember, is originally when William Moulton Marston created Wonder Woman, there was a lot of bondage fetishism in the very beginning of the book, and so admittedly not interested in Greek history or doing more than quote some research unquote. DeConnick stated she listened to hours of lecture quote, but it was a little bit like learning the rules so you could throw some of them out unquote. She explained. So she's she's basically ignoring Greek history. She's just simply using this graphic novel to push her own agenda. You know, um, and again, I don't think it's gonna. I don't really think it's gonna sell because people are gonna take her up on on what she said. She puts her ideological spin in these stories, and people are gonna turn away from it. Gonna turn off about half your audience there. Anyways, quote, because this is fiction, and when we write about the past today, we're not going, we're not really writing about the past, unquote. She added, quote, we're writing about today. There's no point in making art about the past unless you're using it to talk about the present or the future because the past is past, unquote. Yes, but what I would remind Miss DeConnick is those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. Let's see. And I guess nothing new. The comments as of yet. All right. DeConnick was then asked how she balances the utopian, quote, peace and love image of the Amazons with the proud and fierce warrior race they're also known to be. Her response was the portrayal is dividing and unhelpful rather than equalizing. Yeah, like, well, I would. What she's doing is not equalizing. What what she's doing here is not equalizing. Okay, basically a lot of these SJWs don't want equal treatment. They want 180 of what they I make this comparison a lot. When you're talking about like um African Americans in our country, right, who are involved with Black Lives Matter. They don't want equal treatment. They don't want to be treated the same or equal as to their white counterparts. They want apartheid. Okay, and basically it's the same thing here. You have a lot of these minority groups who, unfortunately, present company excluded, of course, but you have a lot of these, minority groups that to this day continue to play victim when they're not. You know, um, and that's wrong. We've grown quite a bit in terms of our, in terms of how we deal with people with certain differences. But there are a lot of people on the left who would apparently think that we haven't made enough, which is baloney. Quote, I think there is a thing that happens sometimes when men are trying to celebrate women. And this happens sometimes when women are trying to celebrate women as well. But it happens a lot when men are trying to celebrate women. She said, that just sounds like a whole bunch of double talk right there. Quote, women get put on a pedestal in a way that suggests that women are just better, right? Unquote. DeConnick continued that they're more communal and gentler and more nurturing, unquote. Now, what's wrong with that, though? That's not necessarily, they're not aggressive like those, quote, terrible, awful men. She would ask, quote, and putting someone on a pedestal is just another way of putting them in a box. It's not helpful, it's limiting, it's not equalizing, it continues to other us. In conclusion, she said, quote, so the idea that a society of women would be more communal makes a lot of assumptions about women that are sort of um, existentialist and really discounts how much of the way women are has to do with what women are asked or forced to do culturally. Well, naturally, though, women tend to be more nurturing because they do, you know, you may want to deny this fact, but women, if you're biologically born a woman, you do have the biological ability to procreate, to bring a child into this world. Yes, you need the man's sperm to do it, but it's the mother who is the one who nurtures that child. Father does give some discipline, but it's the mother who's brought in to nurture the child. You know, and as far as I know, I don't know if this is true or not, but I kind of wonder if Miss DeConnick even has kids. I would guess probably not, but you know, but I could be wrong on that. In conclusion, she said, quote, so the idea that a society of women would be more communal makes a lot of oh wait, we already read that. DeConnick soon made the observation that the Amazons are warriors protecting peace, quote, as a survival adaptation, which transcends gender and is just a historical notion, unquote. She adds, there's nothing particularly new or incongruous that except for one hiccup, unquote. Well, I think she's wrong there. Her analysis is wrong, but I think there are a lot of women who would even tell her she's wrong there. Where people have the hiccup is like, but they're women. Like, yup, she stated. I'm in 20. This is, I guess, a live action Wonder Woman movie from 2017. From there, Phil Jimenez chimed in to expound on how Wonder Woman has brought sexuality and queerness to the table since the 1940s when William Moulton Marston created the character and weaved his fetishes into the book. Um, all right. Quote, we all know that the Marston stuff was mired in Marston's own fetishized view of sex and women. But it's still amazing work to me because of the fact that this was 1942, the middle of World War II, and it was so clear and obvious on the page, said Jimenez. It's still quite stunning as a historical artifact. Um, I don't know if I would totally agree. I mean, yes, the fetishism aspect I would agree with, but if he's trying to make a point that the Golden Age Wonder Woman, they really pushed a lot of the queer side of it, I would have to disagree because you know, I don't think you ever saw a case where any of the Amazons really engaged in like lesbian. Yes, there was a lot of bondage fetishism. You saw it with, you know, with quite a bit of the damsel in distress bit going on a lot of the time. You saw what we call today furries, right? I think there was a story that I did read about where Wonder Woman actually dressed her opponents up in like animal costumes. So you do get that part, but Mike needs to be a tad more engaging. Well, I'm trying to be. Towards, I'm looking at your guys' comment. I just haven't seen anything to um, give the kid saying, "Don't worry," from the internet. There's not really much I can like comment on. I'm trying to be engaging. I'm also trying to do commentary based on what I'm reading here. So, um, and this is my speaking style. So, um, now why, as I said, why I believe, yes, a lot of the fetishism from the classic Wonder Woman, from the Golden Age Wonder Woman stories, is truly there. Okay, I don't really believe they make it sound like there was a lot of, if anything, you get more the impression if you go back to Frederick Worthen's work, if anything was really quote unquote queer from that time period, is more Batman and Robin who were more the queer, the pushing of the queer lifestyle. With the suggestion that Batman and Robin were involved in some kind of you know relationship that wasn't really there, simply in part because they slept in the same bed. You know, um, so of course, the Comics Code swooped in and changed all that until George Perez came along in the 80s. That's all aside. It's all an aside for Jimenez, who is more concerned with how he defines queer and represents it to his liking. I use queer in the broadest possible sense. He said, now, I think the dictionary definition of the word queer actually means more like something that's different. Okay. I know in probably for maybe the last, at least since the 80s, at least, maybe even going back to the 70s, the term queer has been used as another euphemism for somebody who is gay or lesbian or somebody who's homosexual. Okay. But I think the dictionary definition is that queer means more um, means more different. So, so that's kind of where. Uh, so did we lose somebody? Oh, I know. Well, okay. So YouTube had said we went down to two, but I guess now we're back up to three. But and again, if you guys have anything to comment on, feel free to comment, and I'll answer. If you guys have any questions or you want to say anything about it, I'll see what I can do about answering them. You know, I said I'm reading the articles and giving my commentary on what I'm reading. But if you guys have anything you want to add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to. It's part of why I call it the mic stand. Is to also engage people. So hopefully Crumb and Toys, you guys are still here. Hopefully you guys are following along and say what you guys have to say here. But anyways, all right. So continuing on with the article here, then I don't think of it exclusively in terms of sexuality so much as the notion of the queering of the world. Jimenez continued. I think of being queer as being anti-tradition, anti-patriarchal. As again, well, okay, so he's got more the idea of what queer is more traditionally meant, in other words, being different, um, as something that upends kind of the of a traditional and often conservative, regressive point of view. Um, so the way I use queer is a huge part of it. Um, he would add, DC bringing him onto Historia automatically makes the title queer, and he's glad to be working on it with Kelly Sue DeConnick because of their mutual socio-political ideologies. Said Jimenez, it's all there. Which translation? We want to be able to push our agenda. We want to shove our agenda down your throat. We don't care if we make money. We don't care if we alienate half of our audience. We want to shove it in your face, what we think and why you should think like us, and why if you don't, you're an idiot. That's, I think, the translation of what Phil Jimenez just said. Crumb, what do you think of the article? Well, yeah, I'm kind of curious myself. I know her last comment was "oh my," so I don't know if that meant that she's not too keen on it because I know of her situation, but it would be kind of interesting to hear Crumb's point of view on it. She wants to, and as I said, she wants to kind of chime in there. Hmm. Anyway, while waiting for a response, I'll continue the article. Explaining why he liked working on this comic, he continued, quote, I love this work because it is, to me, clearly the work of a woman, and maybe less clearly, but certainly I can see the work of a gay dude, unquote. So is that Phil Jimenez basically telling everybody that he? Now, Grant, I don't know who Phil Jimenez is. I don't know his lifestyle. I personally don't care whatever whatever his life is. That's his. He'll um. But if he's coming out here saying, "Oh, he's gay," well, that's his business. I don't really need to know that. Nobody really needs to know that. But you know, um, anyways, he'd add further, quote, so I think it is inherently queer in its way. Again, using my broader definition of queer, it just has a proud and profound feminist point of view. And that thrills me because I think that queers our industry a little bit, unquote. Yeah, and you're basically, again, alienating about half your audience there. I mean, you're certainly trying to live up to Kelly Sue's words there. You don't like my politics, don't buy my book. And you wonder why people aren't buying your books. Menace could queer the industry, but for DeConnick, it gets broader than the broadest use of queer. She wants to change what readers think they know about Amazons and everything. I'd have to kind of agree with that. That does sound exactly like um, she's trying to rewrite, Marston's original representation of what Wonder Woman was. I would have to agree with that statement that JB just made there. Calling Historia, quote, a textbook for a history of the Amazons that is intended for the audience of young Amazons, unquote, she declared, quote, the thing I would want you to take away from it is the idea of questioning the version of history that you have always been fed. They say it's the victor who writes the histories. So she goes on, quote, our opening contract with you is, unquote, forget everything you know, or forget everything you think you know. The narrator says history is written by the victors, and in the war between the Amazons and the gods of men, the Amazons lost, unquote. DeConnick continued to make her point that reveals her true intent with Historia inadvertently or not. Um, quote, so the version that you have read was written by our oppressors, unquote, she said. Quote, probably there is no objective history, and the truth may lie somewhere between. But you've heard theirs. This is ours. And if there is a thing to be taught, it is to consider the source. Remember, the history is stories. Wonder Woman Historia, The Amazons, was announced back in 2018 as part of DC's Black Label. Has been years in the making. Book one is available now, written digitally. Basically, I don't think this book is going to sell as well as they're hoping. I think if they're putting a lot of this ideological, this very strong ideological presence in the story, then I think they're gonna turn off about half their fan base. But we just got finished with it. Yeah, Crumb. I mean, Crash? Do you have anything to say about the article? Because I'm kind of curious too. I know I might be opening Pandora's box there, but um, yeah, we're just. And did we lose her again? Oh, there we go. Let's see. I think if people want to make stupid characters, they should just make their own stuff. Ah, that's interesting. Instead of changing established IPs. All right. I think we all will agree. I think there are a lot of people who agree with you on that one, including myself. Apart, like, and we've seen this over at the very least the last year here. We've covered a number of articles on on my channel here, where we looked over some of the articles from Bounding into Comics and CBR to a lesser extent, where we've seen a number of particularly established characters they're trying to use. You know, I'm sure you've heard about like Superman's son, Jonathan Kent, now being turned supposedly bisexual. Tim Drake being turned bisexual. We have that OMAC character that was um, turned, bisexual or gay or what have you. Um, this is, and I know this might sound a little controversial what I'm about to say here, but just this is my take on what they've been doing with these characters. I think part of the reason that they're using these established IPs and turning them like gay or bisexual, however you want to put it. I think they're hoping to, in their minds, further, make it more acceptable. Um, make it more acceptable to have these characters by having by changing established characters or using variations of established characters to push their agenda. The reason they don't want to, the reason I think they don't want to bring in new characters to get their point across is because they don't feel it would make as much of an impact as if, let's say, oh, Superman's gay now. Um, they're scared of, yeah, they're scared of failing. Yeah, I would pretty much agree with it. Yeah, they're scared of failing. It's a lot easier to take an established character with name recognition, and if the headline in big letters, Superman's gay, then people will go, Superman's gay, huh? I guess then it's more okay to be gay now, you know. Um, because if they made a new character, and they've made newer characters gay before, it wouldn't have the same impact, I think, as having an established character become gay. So they go after already successful ones. Yeah, as I said, and I know this might sound a little controversial, but I think they prefer to use the name recognition of established characters to make their agendas and the lifestyles that they're pushing more acceptable, for lack of a better term. Um, Instead of just simply letting people make the choice for themselves what they want, and doing this, it's gonna blow up in their face because people are gonna take Kelly Mysticonic's words that she said a couple years ago, where she told everybody, "You don't like my politics? Don't buy my book." Well, if you're putting stuff out like this, like we just read, that's exactly what's gonna happen. You're gonna alienate about half your audience there. They're gonna see it and they're gonna go, no, I don't want to really deal with this. I'm out of here. Bye. I'm not gonna give Mr. Gonick. You think you're getting any of my money? You can forget that, lady. All right. So, all right. Glad you're still here, Crumbion and Chris. And of course, as always, I do, of course, appreciate any and all likes and shares. See if we can get some more friendlier people in here. Um, can help out with that. That'd be appreciated as well. We're going to move on to the next article here. But thank you for your input, Crumb. I do appreciate that. All right, so here's the next article we're going to look at. Eric July. Now, I think for most people, Eric July is the real name of the guy known as Young Ripper. This is Young Ripper we're talking about here. Eric July, Marvel, DC are in bed with the authoritarian left. I know he's made similar comments about this before. I know Ethan Van Sciver has also talked about how the liberals in Congress may be even helping to subsidize DC and Marvel to help push the agendas they want pushed. So here we go. Let's go with this. Oh yeah, and it actually, and RJ was just telling me about this the other day too. This little panel right here. So this is what happened back in 2015. The reign of the X-Men. Sorry. Anyways, YouTuber and backwards frontman Eric July recently claimed that both Marvel and DC are in bed with the authoritarian left in a video detailing why a parallel economy is needed. Source: All New X-Men Volume 1, Number 40, 2015. Marvel Comics, words by Brian Michael Bendis, art by Mahmoud Asrar. Bobby asking what happened. Bobby, you're gay. Which apparently has no rhyme or reason to it, other than, I guess, just to push an agenda. But July begins the video stating, quote, Marvel, DC are in bed with the authoritarian left. It's just not an opinion, that is a fact, unquote. They are the writers, they are decision makers, they are complicit in virtually everything that we've covered. I've been covering over years, is watching both companies go into a GD, go to hell. Let's say that they're going to bleep at minimum. He added. So he goes on to point out, quote, DC has been working with the government pimping pimping mask and vaccines, right? Showing Batman with a vaccination like a band-aid on and bleep Harley Quinn. Um, um, So we got some more. All right. See. All right. Let's see. As we continue on with the article here, he goes on to point out, quote, DC has been work. Okay. We already read that. Sorry. We covered the other day. They had explicitly stated Warner and DC Comics, like not in our opinion, like we got to allude to it. No, that they are specifically working with the Biden administration to basically pimp vaccinations for young folk, unquote. And we know this because we covered this article last week in on this very from this very site. And I've commented on several times on how it seems like it's a far cry to like 80 years ago when after Frederick Worthen came out with his well, I guess it would be more like 70 years ago, 7 decades ago, where Frederick Worthen came out with Seduction and Innocence in '54. We ended up getting the Comics Code. You know, the comic book creators of the time did not want government involved. So to keep Congress from getting in their hair, they decided to start censoring their comics themselves with the Comics Code Authority. Now, of course, comic book creators are basically as he said here, are in bed with the Biden administration. Um, yeah, but it's happening with other brands as well. The brands that you know and love, and you grew up on are bleeping dead. They're gone. Okay, they're gone. He stated. He goes on to express his hope that his upcoming comic books will replace Marvel and DC, but does recommend that if you want to buy those books for nostalgia purposes, you purchase back issues so as to not provide Marvel and DC with any income. Yeah. Or what you can do if you really want to look to the past and I know Chris, you haven't been on, and I think it's been a while since you've been on. But if you do want to look to the past and go back to a time when comics were great, and they didn't necessarily push the agendas hard like this. So check out my Friday shows. Actually, Toys is going to be co-hosting with me this Friday with my historical comic retrospect. We're going to be looking back at August 1938, looking at comics that went on sale from David McKay and David McKay Publications and Eastern Color. So you might want to come check that out if you want to get away from the stupidity of modern times. Oi. Yeah. Anyways, so let's get back to this. He then states, bleep them, let them run their bleep into the ground, and we're going to move on, okay? We're moving on. Yeah, well, yeah, and we've seen that too and we've seen also with a lot of the independent creators. We saw like Ethan Van Sciver and the rise of Comicsgate, where you've seen some of the older comic pros who are not into the woke baloney. Um, you know, going via the routes of like Indiegogo and Kickstarter and all that. So that's been pretty good to go on. Yes, and here's the picture we saw last week from the Biden or Texas Children's Twitter. This is from Texas Children's Hospital. Okay, this is just inane. Having Superman wear a mask too? Come on. I mean, I went all over this on this one because it's like Superman's got Kryptonian DNA. Chances are he couldn't get coronavirus anyways. All right, I doubt very seriously if he his Kryptonian DNA or he'd even get it. Okay, um, so this is kind of, in my own personal opinion, ridiculous. July would then return to his first assertion that Marvel and DC are in bed with the authoritarian left. He would expound on this, saying, quote, they work with the state, okay? Authoritarian left in particularly. He then points to a recent tweet made by Batman voice actor Kevin Conroy, saying, now Kevin Conroy, of course, is the guy who voiced Batman throughout the DCAU, starting back in '92 with the Batman the Animated Series, and continued well into the 2000s and maybe even early 2010s. Um, let's see. Okay, another quote. Another example of this, and this isn't not necessarily just the company itself. Unquote. This is a person for hire. This is a person essentially contracted to voice Batman and whatnot. Unquote. Mm-hmm. We'll just go to show you how Hollywood's connected in all this too. While wishing Conroy a happy birthday, writer Mark Strauss tweeted, quote, if the CDC had hired Kevin Conroy to do vaccine advocacy PSAs in his menacing Batman voice, the entire country would be immune by now. Happy birthday to a very talented guy, unquote. I don't think so. I don't really think so. Conroy replied, quote, thanks, Mark. What a great idea, Alfred. Get the CDC on the line. It's time to save Gotham with some vaccine PSAs. That is probably one of the most asinine statements. That's not. I doubt very seriously if any Batman character would do that, no matter which incarnation you find. Agreed. They should make their own IP, but they don't have talent, so they won't. Yeah, that's right, Toys. That's the thing. You know, they know by using the established characters to try to push their agenda, they're losing half their audience. And people are gonna, as I said, follow Mr. Conic's, um, if you want to call it advice. July then details, quote, the reason I keep showing you these things is because I want you to understand what it is you're dealing with. You're dealing with people that do nothing, unquote. Quote, and the reason why it works so well is because they're stupid. Don't get me wrong, but they're smart enough to know how impactful this stuff is, unquote, he continued. I'm just checking the time here. So we're already coming up on 54 minutes. All right. So I do need to go a little faster here. Um, and the reason why, we already read that part. He explained, quote, and even if we think, this bleep stupid, somebody else thinks that bleep is awesome. And someone else, believe it or not, may be convinced by something that weird. Mockingbird number 8. Interesting shirt there. Again, another woke message board right there. Ask me about my feminist agenda. Oh, brother. Quote, that's why the left spent so. This is a lesson learned for everybody out there, particularly those of you that value liberty like me, unquote, he asserted. Quote, the left played the long game, bros. The authoritarian left played the long game. They got your school, which why you would want the state controlling those anyway, that was your mistake. But hey, don't listen to guys like myself, unquote. Um, he said. And of course, we get the next picture here. This is kind of what happens when you get state-controlled schools. This kind of garbage. Tom Taylor's Twitter. He continued, "Quote: They got culture, so they could get the future generations, but they got control of culture, and now they have things that a lot of us, be it wherever you're on the political spectrum, that like this sort of stuff." Unquote. July then explained, quote, they could use that to put out whatever nonsense and social preferences and agendas that they want to kind of put out there. In other words, translation, he's talking about indoctrination. Basically, by taking over media the way the left has, it lends to a perfect opportunity for them to indoctrinate, you know, the younger generation, whether they be your kids, your friends' kids, your nieces, nephews, cousins, you know, um, kids in your neighborhoods, you know, it's indoctrination. Let's see. Let's see. Social preference and agendas, and what kind of put out there. That's what they are now. Effectively, if you read a modern era Marvel or DC book, for the most part, they're just stepping stones for the social justice authoritarian left. Again, it's true. So, whether it be financially through these broke bleep comic pros that are talentless or through just sheerly agenda purposes where they know, in smaller quotes, okay, these people like Superman or something like that. So why don't we make John Kent get again the point I made earlier, right? The point I made earlier. Instead of making a new character to push their agenda, they want to use the established characters to help push their agenda. They want to use the already established characters to help push their agenda. So you know to help to indoctrinate the next generation. July relayed, quote, that's the type of stuff they do because they know how valuable it is because it has some sort of cultural significance. Again, good point. Exactly. They didn't care about having ideas on their side. They cared more about using what people knew and loved as a means to funnel their baloney. That's all that it was, and that's what we continue to see. Again, exactly what I said. It's pretty much along the same lines of what I said. I think it's pretty obvious to anybody, with a working brain, that's exactly what they're doing. as we continue on here. And I'm going to skip over that because I don't know if people really want to see that too much. But later in the video, July summarizes, quote, just accept and embrace that the brands that you knew and loved growing up, be it on Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Marvel, DC, He-Man, Bleep, they've gone brand to brand and they're running them bleeps into the ground. I'm sure we've all been following the story of He-Man, Master of the Universe, Revelation, and all that going down, 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 down gravity, going down, down, down. Oh yeah. So, anyways, um, quote, leave them behind. He concludes, quote, they're so corporate now, leave it behind and we build. We build and we compete with these bleepers. Man, number 75. What do you think of July's comment? I pretty much agree with everything you pretty much said there. It's pretty much what I felt too, is that they're basically using established characters to push their agenda because they feel they can be more. It'll be easier to have more likely succeed utilizing the already established characters than creating new characters. So, Crumb Toys, do you guys have anything you want to add to the conversation here? You guys have anything you want to say about the article I just read or any of the points that were made? While I'm waiting for you guys to respond, I'm going to be right back. I just step away from my computer for a moment. I'll be right back. All right, let's see what we have. Well, Chris just said she's just chilling at the moment. I'm glad you're here. Laugh out loud. Toys. I need rum. Rum. Laugh out loud. All right, and just again as a simple reminder, Crime, if you want to join us Friday night, we've gone over some historical comic books. Toys will be my co-host for the night. So I want to come check that out. Look back at some historical comic stuff. So, anyways, we're just past the hour mark, so now we're gonna start. We'll probably start moving a tad faster through some of these articles. We're gonna go to CBR now and look through some articles from there. The last of the comic articles, um, kind of a follow up to story I went over yesterday, or the other day. Yeah, I think it was probably yesterday. I think, um, in regards to. Oh wait, did I? Oh yeah, I just almost more out of habit. I went straight to the anime, but we'll get to that. The four stories in anime, but want to hit one comics article here before we go. Now, it's kind of a follow up to a story I think we did yesterday. It announced yesterday that legendary comic book artist George Perez was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 3 pancreatic cancer, and was given 6 months to a year to live. So we talked a little bit about that, of course. But as it, but here's kind of a follow up article to that. Comic pros and fans celebrate George Perez's life and legacy. Support begins pouring in for legendary comic book creator George Perez following the announcement that he has terminal pancreatic cancer. Article by John Arvidon, published 12 hours ago. So here we go. Countless comic book professionals and fans are sharing their support for legendary comic book. I think they should have put creator in there. George Perez, following um, creator or artist, following the news that he's been diagnosed with inoperable stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Perez made the announcement December 17th, so it was actually, yeah, it was yesterday, disclosing that doctors estimate he has 6 months to 1 year left. He also said he'll be foregoing chemotherapy and or radiation therapy to instead, quote, enjoy whatever time I have left as fully as possible with my beautiful wife of 40 years, my family, my friends, my fans. Um, and here's, I guess, one of the tributes. Jason Aaron here, and the art of George Perez. I guess this is kind of, I think, the note he or the letter he put on Twitter. Here, let's read this. So Jason Aaron here, right, tweeted, George Perez made me a comic fan. His art seized hold of me as a child and forever imprinted in my mind as what a comic book should look like. Thank you to him for the immense joy he's contributed to the lives of so many. May his days be filled with love and respect. And here's another one, from this time from Constance. I wanted to share this. This is a wedding gift from George and his lovely wife, Easy Esque. I treasure it. George has always been a huge part of our lives, and I'm grateful for every moment we've had together and the ones we'll still get. This time is a gift, even though it's hard. So you kind of got the Superman Lois, oh, marital art there. Jerry Conway got the shots and lived. um, Ignore that part. A round of applause, please, for my favorite moment of work with George. His last issue of JLA, and it sums up his incredible storytelling and powerful visual imagination. What a gift to have here. Dan Slott. If you don't own copies, you owe it to yourself to hunt down the history of the DC universe. Every single page is gorgeous. Perez is a legend. Kurt Busiek. Special note: George did not draw all those Ultrons on this title spread. He drew all but one. Al They added one to see if George would notice it. Uh, Tom King. Again, from a lot of at least these people who we've kind of railed against before at least have some class here and are not going after this guy in this time. I don't know. I've given up on the comic industry. My eyes, it's dead. Yeah, I think in a lot of people's eyes, it might be dead right now. That's why we go back and appreciate the past, right? Toys, you know, we could do, we could do an invite to Crumb. We can talk about her interview with Eric Rowland. Mm. George Perez, the kindest of men, has brought so much beauty into the world as an artist, as a writer, as a human being. He is and will always be an inspiration for generations, creators, and fans. All the love from all the kings to George and his family. Thank you, sir. Simon Bolin. Now would be a good time for Marvel and DC to come together, reprint JLA Avengers, a new hardback edition, and send George's family plenty of royalties. Mitch Gerard's. The silver lining here is we have time to let him know that he is the absolute goat. All right, don't know if that's supposed to be a good thing or Ritchie. Does it always make me smile? George Perez making a fans' day at a comic convention. Cool comic art. George Perez is responsible for all the things we have loved, will continue to love. The Thanos snap has become pop culture, and Perez thrust that image out of the world in 1991. Same with Nightwing and Deathstroke in the mid 80s, Taskmaster, Future and Perfect, Modern Wonder Woman, and more. Greg Capullo, hashtag George Perez, thank you for all that you've given us, sir. You'll live on in us forever. Hero Initiative. George Perez is a friend and comrade to all. He is one of Hero Initiative's founding board members. We love him and celebrate him every day. Ron Mars. Here's a George Perez story that I hope will make you smile. There was a posh cross-gen party, holiday party at a country club. Everyone dressed up for a festive night. I was seated at the central table next to George. The boss, Mark Alessi, was set to give a big rah-rah speech. And Colleen Doran here. Every day is a good day to tell the world how much you love George Perez. Oh, yes, that's supposed to be her right there. Aaron Myers, George Perez Appreciation Post. DC Titans on Max. Sending my love to Dad, the legend, the Titan, George Perez. Read to George Perez the work he did on Fantastic Four, on the Fantastic Four and the Avengers. Latter half of the 70s blew me away as a kid. I devoured every issue you drew and love them to this day. Sending you my love. And so George Perez made his professional comics debut in 1974's Astonishing Tales number 25 and would soon co-create White Tiger with Bill Mantillo for Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. He took over as the main artist of the Avengers with issue number 141 and also worked on Fantastic Four, the Kovac saga, and co created Taskmaster. During his Marvel tenure, Perez simultaneously worked on the Teen Titans for DC, which reunited him with Marv Wolfman, with whom he first collaborated on Fantastic Four Annual. Perez also took over as artist on Justice League of America, and in 1984, he and Wolfman began work on DC's first major continuity reboot, Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was, of course, a classic storyline, classic comic book arc there. Let's see. Yeah, so nothing new comments, right, I guess. All right. After Crisis, Perez helped establish DC's new continuity on titles like Wonder Woman, The New Titans, and Action Comics. In the early 1990s, he also returned to Marvel to work with Ron Lim on an Infinity Gauntlet, which served as the inspiration for much of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinity Saga. In the early 2000s, he and Kurt Busiek teamed up for the Marvel DC crossover JLA Avengers, aka Avengers JLA. In 2019, Perez announced his retirement from comics due to various health issues and his declining eyesight. I've had a wonderfully good run doing exactly what I have wanted to do since I was a child, unquote. He said at the time, quote, now I can sit back and watch the stuff I helped create, entertain whole new generations. That's a pretty nice legacy to look back on. And so much of that is thanks to all of you, the greatest fans in the world. I am humbled and forever grateful, unquote. Even in revealing his cancer diagnosis, Perez similarly took time to thank his fans. He also explained that he hopes to set up one final book signing as well as public appearance, quote, wherein I can be photographed with with as many of my fans as possible, with the proviso that I get to hug each and every one of them. I just want to be able to say goodbye with smiles as well as tears. So that's granted. It's sad, but it's sweet that he wants to. That's how he wants to spend his last days. You know. Um, Anyways, getting ready to move on. Now we're getting into the. Wow, we're at an hour 20 already, so we may get all the way up to 2 hours, and at this rate, oh yeah. So, anyways, so now we'll get into the anime. So I got four of those to go over. We'll probably try to get through those pretty quickly here. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even know about that. Toys, I didn't even know about that interview till after the fact when Leto mentioned it last night. And then I actually watched Bakita stream. Yeah. From the looks of it, looks like the Eric Rowland guy is getting blacklisted by Funimation, basically for the same reason that they basically tried to kicked out Vic because he's not an ideological, does not ideologically line up with them. So, all right, so let's get to the next article here. All right, Beastars Anime announces final season with logo reveal. Animation Studio Orange surprises fans with the release of a new logo for the upcoming final season of the anthropomorphic drama series Beastars. Article by Lance Corp published 12 hours ago. Beastars surprises fans by revealing a new logo for the show's third and apparently final season. The official English Twitter account for the animation studio Orange, uh, Black Bullet, and Land of the Lustrous, recently broke its silence over its production of the Beastars anime. Beastars is getting a new logo, it announced. Studio Orange did not share any further details regarding the ongoing production of Beastars. There must be many questions, and this is all we can reveal at the time. Unquote. It continued by saying, quote, "We hope everyone can join us for the show till the end." Unquote. No details concerning concerning a release date for Beastars season 3 were given, though more information was teased to be revealed in the future. Quote, "Follow us for future updates," Studio Orange concluded, unquote. By the way, the announcement that the newest season of Beastars would also serve as the show's ending surprised many fans of the series. The anime still has plenty of content from the original manga to adapt, so fans are now speculating that the show may cut out entire story arcs or diverge from the original source material entirely. The original Beastars manga is written and illustrated by Paru Itagaki, who is also known for her other works such as Sanda and Beast Complex. The series was published in Akita Shoten's Weekly Shonen Champion, debuting in September 2016 and ending in October 2020. Final count of 22 volumes. The series has been a massive hit with 7.5 million copies of Beastars in circulation worldwide as of November 1st. Anime adaptation of the manga was produced by Animation Studio Orange and began airing in October 2019. The series is directed by Shinichi Matsumi, who also worked on Orange's previous work, Land of the Lustrous. Beastars received positive acclaim from fans and critics alike, who praised the show's captivating lead characters, complex themes, and unique animation. Beastars manga is available to Western audiences through distributor Viz Media. At the time of this writing, 15 of the series' 22 volumes have been translated into English and released in both print and digital formats, with volume 16 set for release in January 18th, 2022. Both seasons of the anime adaptation are available exclusively on Netflix. Alrighty then. There we go with that. Get to the next article in a moment here. I've got to go off camera here for a moment. I'll be right back. Alrighty then. Alright, so we're back here. Moving on to this next article then. Excuse me a moment. Chloe's barking again, so I guess I gotta go deal with her. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back now, so let's get to this next article here. Mary and the Witch's Flowers studio Ponoc announces new movie The Imaginary. Studio Ponoc reveals the first trailer for The Imaginary, a new movie based on the 2015 children's novel by A.F. Harold. Article by Haley McCullough, published 11 hours ago. Studio Ponoc, the animation studio formed by former Studio Ghibli staff, announces the first film since Mary and the Witch's Flower. Known in Japan as Yanuar no Rudger in the Attic, The Imaginary is based on A.F. Harold's 2015 children's novel. The story follows Rudger, the imaginary friend of Amanda Shuffleup, um, who lives an odd life since no one but Amanda can see him. However, when Mr. Bunting appears, Rudger's life changes forever as he is forced to go on the run to avoid getting eaten by the sinister figure. Um, Studio Ponoc released the first teaser trailer for the movie, giving viewers a preview of the film's colorful, dreamlike animation. Animation industry veteran Yoshiyuki Momose is attached to direct The Imaginary. He previously worked as the character designer and animation director on multiple installments in Bandai Namco's Nino Kuni role-playing video game franchise. He was also a primary animator for many of Studio Ghibli's feature films, including 1991's Only Yesterday, 1992's Porco Rosso, 1994's Pompoko, 1997's Princess Mononoke, and 2001's Spirited Away. In a statement translated by Crunchyroll, Momose explained the difficulties in translating Harold's work to film, saying, it is a very difficult task to materialize imagination, quote unquote, while it is a high hurdle to show, quote, something that has never been seen before, unquote, in a film. That is why I find it interesting as an animation expression, and I'm making the film the series of sense of challenge, unquote. The director continued, quote, Roger and his friends who live in the imaginary town are innocent, pure, and ephemeral. Rather than portraying the world from the perspective of these imaginaries with a series of stagnation, I would like to make a film filled with rich feelings and a sense of liberation that will give us the strength to live in this age, unquote. The Imaginary isn't the only anime film scheduled to premiere next year. Scherzo of a Dark Dusk, second movie in the Sword Art Online, the movie progressive series, and Netflix's original film Bubble, which features Attack on Titan's director Madoka Magica's writer and Death Note manga's lead artist as part of its creative team, will both make their debut in 2022. Studio Ponox, The Imaginary, will hit theaters in Japan next summer. It is currently unknown when the film will receive an international release. There we go with that one. Right. Um, Excuse me one more time while I go off camera. I'll be right back. Alrighty then. So, yeah, so we're getting ready to move on to next article. Here, we're two more articles, I believe. Yeah, this is going to be another major article here. Kind of. So, anybody still with me here, or am I alone here? Girl. Hmm. Not here, laugh out loud. I imagine if Cress is gone, she probably went off to bed or something like that. I'm guessing. I know it's late there where you guys are at, so actually though it's 10:36 there where you guys are at, and the counter just went back down to one again. All right. So, anyways, on to this next article. Dragon Ball One Piece Studio under fire for pulling YouTube reviews. Toei Animation is facing criticism after YouTuber Totally Not Mark claims the animation studio used copyright claims to take down 150 of his videos. Article by Michael Cerna, published 5 hours ago. So, see what he has to say and see what's going on here. Toei Animation, the studio behind the anime adaptations of Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Sailor Moon, is facing heated criticism from anime fan community after the company apparently used copyright claims to force the removal of 150 videos by YouTuber Totally Not Mark. Quote, "My life's work has been unfairly ripped away from me," unquote, Totally Not Mark said in a new video. According to Mark, who has over 500,000 subscribers to his channel, Toei Animation has spent the last few days systematically getting most of his videos blocked from the site through the use of copyright claims. Mark is known for his manga reviews, which often use clips from each series anime adaptation. All of the videos removed were related to Dragon Ball or One Piece, though some of the videos did not include any clips from the anime and were simply drawing tutorials. The YouTube says he supports the YouTuber says he supports family and several full-time employees through income generated by his channel. Which, and I know RGE talked about, when RGE got taken down the other day, he talked about this too. This is one of those reasons why you don't make YouTube being your primary source of income, because stuff like this can happen. The reviewer says his videos have followed YouTube's guidelines and several countries' legal provisions for fair use. Unfortunately for Mark, Toei Animation appears to be using far stricter Japanese copyright laws to block his videos. As reported by Kotaku, Japanese copyright laws lack any fair use provisions protecting criticism. So in Japan, rights holders have the legal standing to prevent any of their intellectual property being used in things such as YouTube videos. While work is underway to revise Japan's copyright system, mostly to help facilitate the re release of older material, as it stands now, Toei Animation appears to be within its rights. While Toei Animation may have the law and YouTube on its side, it appears to not have the approval of the anime fan community. Many other anime YouTubers, including Mother's Basement, another anime review channel with over 1 million subscribers, issued a tweet in support of Totally Not Mark and criticized Toei for its heavy handed approach. YouTuber The Anime Man, who boasts over 3 million subscribers on his main channel, also voiced his support for Mark and detailed his own negative interactions with Toei in a video posted on his second channel, Toei Animation. Toei Animation also trended on Twitter as fans took to social media to discuss the studio's handling of the situation, with the majority of tweets taking the YouTuber's side. And here's an example of a tweet right there. Strangely, Totally Not Mark says he has worked with Toei Animation in the past to promote their releases. In addition to calling attention to Toei Animation's copyright strikes. The reviewer also criticized YouTube's content ID and appeal system. According to The Verge, YouTube recently admitted that the site received over 2.2 million false copyright claims in the span of just 6 months. Toei Animation has not responded to Totally Not Mark at this time. Yeah, so that is kind of a pain, though. See. No, she's kicking butt on Twitter. Uh, what are people going after her on Twitter or something like that? People tweeting at her like stupid stuff or something like that over the Eric Rowland stuff. Granted, I didn't see that video. Now that there's a bit of a stir going up over it, I may have to go back and watch that. At some point in the near future to at least kind of get caught up on what's going on. I did watch a first hour of Nick's stream last night, so I kind of got an idea what's kind of going on. But should watch it. I may do that just so I'm at the very least, so I'm in the know of what's fully going on with that. But even from what I picked up when I was watching Nick's interview with Eric last night, I pretty much picked up that basically Eric Rowland is a kind of somebody's more of a more conservative mindset. Therefore, he must be getting blacklisted from Funimation because of that. That's the gist of what I got out of it, but I probably might go back and watch Cress's interview on that. All right. So this is the last article of the night here. Let's see, where are we at on time here? Hour 44. So yeah, we've got some good all right, the best anime titles so far from Wit Studios that aren't Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan is now Wit Studio took over Attack on Titan, I think, for the last couple of seasons here, when I understand. Studio Wit, best known for producing Attack on Titan, but the studio has also created several other arguably less overrated anime shows. Okay. Article by Christy Gibbs. So she believes that Attack on Titan is overrated. Okay. Published 5 hours ago. Definitely tell bias there. One of the newest established anime studios in the industry, Studio Wit, was formed in 2012 by George Wada, formerly a producer at Production IG. Studio Wit would go on to release its first televised anime just a year later, the landmark Attack on Titan. Okay. Maybe it did the first. Yeah. I know that Attack on Titan had a switch over like that, but I guess Studio Wit is who they started out with, I guess. However, although Attack on Titan may be Wit's best known production to date, the studio has produced a dozen or so other shows so far, a handful of which are just as striking and or arguably far less overrated. From both historical and futuristic sci-fi action to fantasy, drama, and even slice of life romance, Studio Wit has something to offer just about any viewer. Ancient Magus Bride, Maho Sukai no Yome, 2017-2018. Yeah, I've kind of seen that title around before. Kisei Hiyori, a 15-year-old Japanese girl, has given up on living any kind of happy life when she is abandoned by her family and sold in chains at an auction. However, her buyer, a mysterious masked figure, turns out to be a reclusive magician named Elias Ainsworth, who lives in rural England in a picturesque cottage surrounded by um, fairies and all other manner of fairy tale like creatures. As Elias' apprentice, Shise's life is about to change forever. It's almost a shame that the plot of The Ancient Magus' Bride moves so fast, as thrilling as its more dramatic scenes are. The series truly shines when it's given the chance to showcase its more mundane slice of life scenes, especially those that involve not only Chise and Elias, but also Ruth, Silky, Silver, and others. Nonetheless, the anime is undoubtedly unique and in its quieter moments also highly poignant. After the Rain, Koi wa Amegari no Yo Ni from 2018. Akira Tachibana is a self contained high school student and former track runner who has since retired from her sport despite her immense talent due to a major foot injury. After taking a part time job at a family restaurant, she developed feelings for the restaurant's manager, a kindly yet far older man named Masami Kondo. Viewers who are leery of watching a romance with such a large age gap and a potentially predatory relationship needn't fear. After the Rain's characters are both complex and genuinely likable, and Kondo spends much of the series completely oblivious to Akira's intense yet entirely one-sided crush. Moreover, the storytelling is all about showing rather than telling, and is backed up by vibrant, sophisticated artwork that really helps to sell the anime. Less a love story than a coming of age one. After the Rain is surprisingly subtle, but still incredibly heartfelt title that definitely deserves a look. Yeah, it does sound like it, but I kind of have an issue with her like pointing out, oh, it's potentially predatory relationship. Um, when in Japan, it culturally may be a little more acceptable, you know. And she's, you know, apparently it's not like she's some little girl either. She's a high school student, but probably an older high school student from what it talks about here. You know, she's like in that 16, 17-year-old range. I don't think it's as big, you know, they've been making bigger deals out of that. And when in many countries, including Japan, I think the age of consent is as young as 15. So, Vinland Saga 20 from 2019. A historical action adventure series set primarily in 1013 AD England, Vinland Saga follows the exploits of Thorfinn, a teenager who becomes part of a band of cutthroat warriors after the murder of his father. Bloody drama and political intrigue abound as the story involves several real life historical figures such as Thorfinn Karlsefni, Karlsefni, Leif Erikson, and Cheetah Good. Now, Leif Erikson I do know of because Leif Erikson was a famous Norse explorer in the from 990 to 1000 AD. Finland Saga isn't just for those who went through a Viking phase as kids. In fact, despite being an action adventure piece, anime gets extremely dark at points and doesn't spare any of its characters from their unforgiving setting or frequently grisly events surrounding them. That said, the tone is usually well balanced and there's an impressive amount of attention paid to everyday social and cultural aspects of the story, which greatly adds to the gritty realism. I guess nothing new there. Great Pretender 2020. Makoto Edamame Edamura is a small-time con man in Japan, living a life of smooth-talking, pickpocketing crime that is until he runs into Laurent Theory, a seemingly naive tourist who turns out to be a fellow con man and criminal mastermind. After being conned by Laurent himself, Makoto is dragged to Los Angeles, where he agrees to accompany him so they can determine which of them is a better scammer. Oh boy. Taking place in various cities around the globe, Creep Pretender is a vibrant and vivacious series that's never afraid of upping the ante to create absolute spectacles of its individual stories. Veering sharply between humor, drama, and action, Great Pretender does best when it sticks to its comedy. Almost sounds like kind of a comedic version of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. That's what it kind of. That's what I'm. That's kind of the impression I'm getting. A kind of a comedic version of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, mixed maybe in a little bit with Lupin the Third. Um. Oh yeah. Let's see. Although that certainly doesn't mean the show is all laughs and no heart. While its first story arc is easily the strongest, the anime is an infectiously fun title all around, and absolutely not to be missed by viewers who tend to enjoy heist stories. Vivey, Fluoride's Eyes Song 2021. All right, interesting title. And we're back up to three people. All right, hello. Glad to see we're back up to three people. That mean, Chris, you're back from Twitter and dealing with Twidiots. Kind of portmanteau I came up with, Twidiots, Twitter idiots. Wow, Chris, if you're the third person here, what do you think of that name? Vivey Florette's Eye Song number 2021. In a world where AI are not only commonplace, but a necessary component of modern society, an AI songstress named Diva performs every day at a theme park, programmed with the mission to, quote, make people happy, unquote, through her singing. However, when another AI called Matsumoto suddenly appears, claiming to be from 100 years in the future, where AIs have begun to violently eradicate humanity, Diva is convinced into helping him prevent such a future from eventuating. Ivy opens with a bang to take viewers on a wild ride through multiple time skips and major world events. Um, but its pacing is largely spot on, progressing fast enough to keep viewers invested while not sacrificing character development. While not necessarily unique in terms of story, the series is deep enough to remain intriguing throughout its run, aided by some excellent voice acting, perhaps a surprising amount of depth given the show's action packed nature. Alrighty then, so there we go. So that's it for the main stories tonight. And we're at an hour 57, so we're gonna probably just run over just over 2 hours here. So as we're coming up on the 2 hour mark, um, I would think that it's good time to start wrapping up. So are you guys ready for this day in Nietzsche history? You guys ready for this day in Nietzsche history? Yay, history! All right. So without any further ado, then let's take a look back on this day in each history. So let me just go back through here real quick. All right. So without any further ado, let's get going here on this day in each history. So first off, we're going to go back 75 years ago today. And on this date, 75 years ago today, the fifth issue of Zoot Comics went on sale from Fox Publications. At this time, of course, Fox Publications is also the company that was doing the Blue Beetle titles as well. But on this date in 1946, the fifth issue of Zoot Comics went on sale from Fox Publications. I believe around this time was also when Phantom Lady was also under the control of Fox Publications as well. So on this date in 1946, 75 years ago today, Zoot Comics number 5 went on sale. So there we go with that one. So now as we continue on, we head back on this date 15 years ago today. On this date 15 years ago today, from the Frontier Fieldhouse in Chicago Ridge, Illinois, Ring of Honor's Chicago Spectacular, night one of Ring of Honor's Chicago Spectacular happened. The main event of that show saw Bryan Danielson, known to most fans as WWE's Daniel Bryan, defeat Samoa Joe in a steel cage match for the ROH World Championship. Also on the card saw, of course, this point, future NWA champion Colt Cabana defeating Jimmy Jacobs via disqualification. Also, the current NWA, I think he was the NWA champion at the time, Adam Pearce teaming with Shane Hagdrum in a losing effort to Delirious and Ace Steel. Jimmy Ray defeating Nigel McGuinness. BJ Whitmer defeating Christopher Daniels, Davey Richards, and Matt Cross in a four-corner fiver match. And then, of course, the modern-day Briscoe brothers, Jay and Mark Briscoe. No relation to Jack and Jerry Briscoe, by the way. Defeated Irish Airborne, Jake and Dave Crisp. Tank Tolan defeating Kiko Taro in the opening match. So on this date, 15 years ago, today, night one of Ring of Honor's Chicago Spectacular took place on this date 15 years ago today. And this is another case of 2006 is just so nice that we got to hit it twice. As also on this date in 2006, and this, of course, is a little bit more of a, well, I don't know if you would call it as much a sad situation, but on this date in 2006, American singer and voice actress Martha Tilton passed away at the age of 91. Her animated credit, she voiced Clarice in the Chip and Dale animated short. Let's see. Um, she was a singer back in the 30s who did a lot of work with Benny Goodman, but from the animated point of view, she voiced Clarice in the Chip and Dale animated short Two Chips and a Miss. Chip and Dale um, as in the Disney's Chip and Dale. Um, so on this date in 2015 as well, Martha Tilton, American singer and voice actress who voiced Clarice in the Chip and Dale cartoon animated short Two Chips and a Miss, passed away at the age of 91. So there we go. So that's it. I thank everybody for being here. I thank Chris for coming in. I do appreciate any and all likes. And as we're just past the 2 hour mark, I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. What am I doing? Wrong thing, Mike. Bye.